Assalamu alaikum friends, this is Dr. Rahman, and today we will be talking about the most important concept which is said to be the backbone of accounting, that is Gaap. So please, if you are new to this channel, do subscribe, share and don't forget to comment क्योंकि आपकी एक लाइक एक कमेंट हमें काफ़ी ज़्यादा मोटिवेट और सेटिस्फेक्शन देता है सो दैट वी आर एबल टू मेक न्यू वीडियोस। चलो आज बात करते हैं हम गैप की। Somebody has beautifully quoted that gap is said to be the backbone of accounting. Now let's understand this concept. Gap, G-A-A-P, gap. Gap is actually an acronym that stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. Yeah, you got me right. Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. Now let's look at its history first. Actually, this term was used for the very first time in the US economy by US accountants in 1930 when there was a huge market crash in 1930. So they have adopted this system which later on became very popular in terms of accounting. Uske baad it was used by the UK accountants I think in 1970, and then it spread all over the world. GAP is what? It is actually a beautiful collection of certain principles which does have a universal acceptance. GAP actually hai kya? It is actually a combination of certain principles. Like in every subject, we have so many laws and principles. Similarly, in accounts, we have certain principles which does have a general acceptance. GAP is actually the integrity of two things. That is, it is the integrity of accounting concepts and accounting conventions. Yes. So हुआ क्या actually? Now if we look at our own stock market, that is NSE India, National Stock Exchange, or BSE India, that is Bombay Stock Exchange, we have at least more than 150,000 companies, generally we say, who have got this registration, who are listed in different platforms, in different stock exchanges. If gap would not have been there, अगर gap नहीं होता जिससे accounting में uniformity, resilience and resistance हमें मिलती है, अगर gap नहीं होता, let's assume कि हमारे पास कितनी companies है, say around 1 lakh companies, तो हर एक company ने एक अलग separate system adopt करना था. Say Tata was adopting its own system, Jio was adopting, जिसे हम Reliance Group कहते हैं, they were adopting their own system, and Nestle was adopting its own system in accounting. तो होता क्या, at the end of the day, it would have been quite difficult to make a proper comparability for all of us, for those who are directly or indirectly connected to this business. So comparative analysis, it would have been different and difficult for all of us. So for investors, for government, for tax authorities, if we would not have been following a proper collective common pattern in accounting, तो ना तो टैक्सेशन के पास कोई मेथड रहता, मेथडोलॉजी रहती, ना तो गवर्नमेंट के पास एक प्रॉपर सिस्टम रहता, ना कंपनीज के पास कोई प्रॉपर एलोकेशन और सिस्टम रहता, so that they are able to do this proper classification, comparison, etc. etc. अब गैप एक्चुअली बनाता कौन है? There are actually certain professional organizations that work on this. Like we have in India, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, we call that as ICAI. Then we have one more institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, a professional body that has been working in this field for last maybe 20 or maybe 100 years, sorry to say this. Then we have the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, a full-fledged body, those who work 24 into 7 to have a common uniform method for all corporates who ever work in this field. So there are so many organizations that work for these principles. तो इंडिया में जो हमारे पास बॉडी रहती है दैट इज ICAI, the organization that work for this gap. So now what we have learned कि gap is actually a combination of principles which brings comparability, which brings uniqueness, which brings uniformity in all the corporates so that they are able to form and adopt one system which would be easy to understand and to learn. अच्छा, अब हमने क्या सोचा कि अब हमने ये सुना कि gap is the combination of two things, that is conventions and concepts. Now let's talk of concepts first. हमारे पास जो total number of concepts we have 10 in number in India, and we have 4 conventions that we'll take on later on inshallah. पहले हम बात करते हैं किसकी, concepts की. We have how much? 10 concepts. A concept is what? It is actually a general notion or a set of rule which is widely accepted by everybody, every corporate. And the first concept is BEC, business entity concept. What does this mean? This concept or this principle simply states that business and businessmen are two separate legal entities. That is, business does have its own entity, and the person, the owner of the business, does have his or her own. So business and businessmen are separated. Business एक अलग entity है और businessman एक अलग entity है. तभी हम कहते हैं कि the capital introduced by the owner, उसे हम मानते हैं कि ये liability है business के लिए because of this concept. Business एक अलग entity, business have its own identity, it does have its own venture. और जो businessman है उसकी एक अलग पहचान है, business की एक अलग पहचान है. Now let's talk of certain corporates, like we have this Amazon.com, and the CEO, the owner of that business is Jeff Bezos, the richest one in the world. अब जेफ बेजोस की एक अलग आइडेंटिटी, एक वो जेफ बेजोस एक अलग इंडिविजुअल, उसकी एक अलग पर्सनालिटी है. एंड Amazon does have its own persona, वो एक अलग एंटिटी. तो what does this principle simply states? Business and businessmen are two separate entities. Business बिल्कुल different है as compared to its owner. Hope you got this principle. It's very easy. Business अलग है और businessman अलग है, because we are doing this accounting from a viewpoint of the business. We're doing it for the business, not for the owner. So business and businessmen are separate legal entity. So this is what we got from this BEC, business entity concept. Then the second principle we have is dual aspect concept. Dual aspect. Just look at the term. Dual means two. What does that mean? Dual aspect concept. This principle simply states that for every debit there is a credit. That is, for every in there is an out. For every sacrifice there is a gain. तो अभी तक हुआ क्या था? We were just recording a single aspect of every transaction. But this concept has illustrated us कि यार हर एक ट्रांजैक्शन में दो इफेक्ट्स होते हैं. वन द गेनिंग इफेक्ट एंड द सेकंड वन इज द सैक्रिफाइसिंग इफेक्ट. लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल टू अंडरस्टैंड these two aspects. Sorry, excuse me. For example, I have purchased a computer for rupees say 60,000. मैं कहीं शॉप पर चला गया. I have purchased the computer for rupees 60,000. अच्छा, कंप्यूटर तो मेरे पास आ चुका है. नाउ आई हैव पेड द कैश. व्हाट्स अ sacrifice for me? This cash is going out and computer is coming in. This is in and that is out. मेरे पास आ चुका है क्या? कंप्यूटर. यस. और हमसे क्या जा चुका है? वी हैव जस्ट लॉस्ट, वी हैव sacrificed द कैश. तो कैश हमने छोड़ा है और पाया क्या है? हमने क्या पाया? दैट computer which we have purchased from the shop. So this is what is called dual aspect. So every business transaction, जब भी कोई लेन देन हो, तो every business transaction has two effects. Hope you got this. Very easy to understand. Then we have the next one, that is going concern concept. Going concern concept. In this concept, in this principle, we generally assume that the life of the business is perpetual. The life of the business is infinite. Yes, you got me right. कि हम जब भी कोई business start करते हैं, we start it with an assumption that it will go on forever and ever till to the day of resurrection. जब भी हम कोई काम स्टार्ट करते हैं, कोई भी बिजनेस वेंचर, वी नेवर स्टार्टेड विद एन इंटेंशन दैट यार ये 2 दिन में अब बंद होना चाहिए, 4 दिन में बंद होना चाहिए. वी नेवर स्टार्ट अ बिजनेस विद दैट कॉन्सेप्ट. वी ऑलवेज स्टार्ट इट with a going concern, that is our business will rock on, it will go on. It is only because of this concept, this principle, that we purchase land, building, furniture, fittings, etc. etc. अगर हमें पहले ही पता होता यार after 2 days or maybe after 2 months my business is going to be collapsed, तो मैं क्या करता? would it has been possible कि मैं पेंट भी करता अपने पूरी बिजनेस की बिल्डिंग को, उसे सजाता, उसे डेकोरेट करता, मैं फिक्स्ड एसेट्स लाता. How it would not have been possible? Fittings, furniture, this is all because we believe on that कि our business will rock on. This is what going concern concept. What the life of the business is infinite. Business does not have a finite life. उसके बाद then we have a next concept, that is accounting period concept. So period, when we talk about period, actually we are talking about a time. Accounting period. अब हमें पता है कि we does have our business does have a very long life. तो अब हुआ क्या कि अकाउंटिंग पीरियड, पहले मैं इसकी डेफिनेशन आपको बता देता हूँ कि ये प्रिंसिपल हमें कहता क्या है. दिस प्रिंसिपल सिंपली स्टेट्स दैट कि फिक्स आउट अ टाइम पीरियड फॉर योर बिजनेस टू चेक द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ द बिजनेस व्हाट यू हैव डन ड्यूरिंग दिस कोर्स. आप अपने बिजनेस के लिए एक टाइम फ्रेम सिलेक्ट कर लीजिए. अच्छा, जब आप सिलेक्ट करोगे तो उसके बाद देखो कि व्हाट यू डिड, आपने क्या किया हुआ है, कि इस टाइम फ्रेम में हमने क्या कमाया, क्या खोया, क्या पाया है. बिकॉज अगर हम ऐसे ही चले जाएं, वी नो दैट द लाइफ ऑफ द बिजनेस इज परफेक्चुअल एंड इन्फिनाइट. एट द एंड इफ वील कैलकुलेट आवर परफॉर्मेंस एंड पोजीशन, दैट इज गुड फॉर नथिंग. 10 साल हो चुके हैं, 12 साल हो चुके हैं, वी डोंट नो व्हाट वी स्टैंड फॉर, व्हाट्स आवर स्टेटस. तो अकाउंटिंग प्रिंसिपल कॉन्सेप्ट हमें क्या कहता है कि अपने बिजनेस के लिए एक टाइम पीरियड आप सिलेक्ट कर लीजिए. अच्छा, जब ये कॉन्सेप्ट, जब ये वजूद में आ चुका था, सो देयर वाज अ ह्यूज क्राइसिस इन द मार्केट. नाउ कॉर्पोरेट स्टार्ट थिंकिंग दैट यार अच्छा हम क्या करें कि इसमें क्या हुआ कि लेटर ऑन व्हेन दिस कॉन्सेप्ट केम इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस, so there was a conflict in the market. Companies were saying that we will adopt 2 years policy. Somebody was saying we will adopt 3 years policy. हम 3 साल के बाद, कोई कह रहा था हम 4 साल के बाद this performance को चेक कर लेंगे. तो when there was a conflict, so later on there was a government intervention. तो गवर्नमेंट को आगे आना पड़ा and they say that no baba, everybody is going to follow a 1-year policy. That is, after every year you have to publish your results, what you did. आपने किया क्या है अब तक, उसको आपने पब्लिश करना पड़ेगा. अच्छा, 1 साल तो गवर्नमेंट ने बोला. नाउ देयर वाज अगेन अ फाइट इन द मार्केट अमंग कॉर्पोरेट्स. अब कॉर्पोरेट्स कोई कह रहा था कि हम साल कहाँ से लेंगे. समबडी वाज सेइंग दैट वी विल टेक इट फ्रॉम जनवरी टू 31 दिसंबर. कोई कह रहा था नहीं यार हम दिवाली से दिवाली तक लेंगे. कोई कह रहा था हम ईद से ईद तक लेंगे. सो देयर वाज अ ह्यूज कॉन्फ्लिक्ट in the corporate world, and again government has to intervene. तो तो गवर्नमेंट फिर से आ चुका था, तो देन गवर्नमेंट स्टेट दैट नो, यू हैव टू फॉलो अ पर्टिकुलर ईयर कॉल्ड अकाउंटिंग ईयर और फाइनेंशियल ईयर. Accounting year is also known as financial year. Yes. और इसे एक और नाम से भी हम पुकारते हैं, दैट इज इनकम टैक्स ईयर. ग्रेट. स्टार्ट कहाँ से होता है? फ्रॉम 1st April and ends at 31st March. Great. Now this is a year that everybody has to follow. Then later on, when our own economy, in Indian economy, when the concept of globalization and privatization, when this came into picture in 90s, so this accounting period concept was reduced to 6 months. Now companies were asked to prepare this, their performance after every 6 months, means half yearly results were prepared. लेकिन फिर भी उनको एक एनुअल रिपोर्ट तैयार करना पड़ता था, so that we're able to check their annual performance. Later on, when global giants came to our economy, they were preparing their results. The financial performance were checked after, every quarter, that is after 3 months. So we suggest our own brands, our own companies, you also need to prepare your accounting at the end of every 3 months, that is every quarter. So in a year we're publishing 4 times our results in national, international platforms and modules. तो अब क्या हम फॉलो करते हैं? We prepare quarterly our results. जैसे I'm working in a J&K bank or any other corporate, तो results कब prepare करने पड़ते? After every 3 months. Then annually we prepare our annual report and publish our performance, what we have done, what we have achieved and what we have lost. So this is what accounting period concept. Then we have a next principle, next concept called objectivity principle. बहुत beautiful and my favorite. What does this objectivity principle state? It simply says that for every business transaction, you need to have a document. You need to have a proof. That is, every business transaction must be followed by a voucher document. जब भी कोई लेन देन हो, तो आपके पास एक document, एक source document, मतलब you need to have a proof. That is why whenever you make a transaction, you ask for a voucher, ask for a source document. That can be receipt, that can be a bill or invoice, that can be a pay in self, that inshallah will be taking in the next video. उसके बारे में हम in detail एक अलग सी क्लास लेके आएंगे आप सबके लिए, what are source documents and what are vouchers. तो simply objective principle states that कि जब भी हम कोई transaction करें, कोई भी लेन देन करें, we need to, it shall be followed by a particular document. And for every transaction you need to have a proof, that is it shall be followed by documents. Simply objectivity principle. Then we have money measurement concept. Money measurement concept. अच्छा, ये प्रिंसिपल हमें कहता क्या है? What does this concept provide us? This principle simply states that only those transactions and events are recorded in which money is involved or which can be measured in terms of money. So it automatically becomes a very great criticism to accounts because non-monetary effects and events are not recorded. For example, there's a huge conflict going on in a corporate. Now employees are going on a strike. Now the strike accountant ने record करनी है, even though it has badly affected the corporate. Strike की वजह से बहुत सारे losses आ चुके हैं, but it is not a job of an accountant to record it because accounting does not record non-monetary events. तो होता क्या है कि यहाँ पर आपने खाली वो चीज़ रिकॉर्ड करनी है in which money is involved, जहाँ पर भी मनी का तज़किरा हो डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली. फॉर एग्जांपल कोई शॉपकीपर है, कुछ भी बेच रहा है, वो से लेट्स अज्यूम कि फॉर एग्जांपल मोबाइल फोन्स, इज जस्ट सेलिंग सेल फोन्स. अच्छा, he sold it for rupees 10 lakhs, will be recording it as an accountant. अच्छा, Now, also credit transactions will be recorded because money has been involved, but we know that we'll be receiving it after some time on a promised date. Great. So, what does money measurement concept state us? It simply says that only those transactions, those events will be recorded in accounts in which money is involved, beyond which nothing is to be recorded. से कोई कस्टमर किसी दुकानदार के पास किसी भी शॉपकीपर पे के पास चला गया prospective consumer went for purchasing something. There's a huge conversation, a very beautiful dialogue between the seller and that person. There's a going on. अब हुआ गया 1 घंटे के बाद the consumer was not satisfied. वो तो चला गया. Now it is not the job of an accountant to record this dialogue because money has not been involved. So that's why we say कि money measurement concept says that money makes me go. तो आपने देखना है कि as an accountant जहाँ पर भी मनी इन्वॉल्व हुआ है चाहे वो एक पैसा even if it is a single penny or lesser than that, if money has been involved we need to record that is money measurement concept. Then we have next one, that is cost concept, or इसे हम कहते हैं historical cost concept as well. What does this say? This principle simply says that assets when purchased shall be recorded in the books of accounts at a price we pay for them. मतलब जब प्रॉपर्टी हमने कोई भी प्रॉपर्टी जब हमने खरीद ली, लैंड, बिल्डिंग, प्लांट, मशीनरी, फर्नीचर और फिटिंग्स, एनी प्रॉपर्टी दैट वी हैव परचेज्ड. अब अकाउंटेंट का काम क्या है? जिस प्राइस पर हमने इसको परचेज किया हुआ है, से लैंड को हमने 1 लाख पे परचेज किया, वी नीड टू रिकॉर्ड दैट 1 लाख इन द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स. And at the same time, all market fluctuations, this up and down, will be ignored. क्योंकि market में the value of an asset, it always keeps on fluctuating. Even during a day, it can go either up or down. अगर हमने market fluctuation भी start किया इसको record करना, so it will create that undecorated atmosphere into accounts, and we will not be able to ascertain our exact position and performance. सो कॉस्ट कॉन्सेप्ट हमें क्या बता रहा है? सिंपली जो कॉस्ट आपने किसी भी एसेट के लिए पे की, डू रिकॉर्ड दैट इन द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स एंड ऑल मार्केट फ्लक्चुएशंस विल बी इग्नोर्ड. होप यू गॉट दिस. देन वी हैव वन मोर कॉन्सेप्ट. दिस इज कॉन्सेप्ट नंबर 8, दैट इज मैचिंग कॉन्सेप्ट. ग्रेट. मैचिंग प्रिंसिपल एज वेल. अब देखो ये क्या कह रहा है. It simply says that match. जब match की बात होती है, at least we are actually talking about two items, 2%. जैसे there's a match going on between India and Pakistan. Great. अच्छा, matching principle की हम बात करते हैं. This principle simply says that on one hand take your income and on the other take your cost and match them so that you are able to get your profit, loss or break even. जब रेवेन्यू इनकम को हम मैच करते हैं किसके साथ? कॉस्ट के साथ, एक्सपेंसेस के साथ. सो व्हाट वी विल गेट इफ इनकम्स, द रेवेन्यू, द मनी दैट वी हैव जनरेटेड इज ग्रेटर देन द कॉस्ट इनकर्ड, देन वी हैव प्रॉफिट. वी आर लिविंग इन प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी. तभी जब हमने अकाउंटिंग पीरियड की बात की थी, आपको याद होगा मैंने आपसे कहा था कि से वी आर प्रिपेयरिंग अवर रिजल्ट्स क्वार्टरली. जब वो टाइम आता है, देन वी प्रिपेयर, वी मैच आवर कॉस्ट with revenue. If revenue is greater than cost, then we are living in a profitable world. तब तो कंपनी के पास होता है profit. If the opposite of the same, if cost is greater than revenue, then we have a very sorry situation, that is loss. अच्छा, if cost is equivalent to what? To the revenue, that is break even. Great. Then we have the concept number 9, that is revenue recognition concept. Revenue recognition or some realization concept भी कहते हैं. So this concept simply says that revenue is recorded when ownership is transferred, when it is earned. यानी revenue को हमने तभी रिकॉर्ड करना है when it is earned. When it is earned. Let's as to take an example to illustrate this concept, realization concept. Say for example, मैं एक seller हूँ, मेरे पास on 10th of March मेरे पास एक prospective consumer आ चुका है. He and me, we do have a very long discussion for 1 hour. On 10th of March, I have given him all the details about the products, about the schemes, the concession and the discounts we are providing as a corporate. अच्छा हुआ क्या, वो तो चला गया on 10th. Then on the 11th he has, not on 11th, on the 5th of March he just has made his order. तो वो कह रहा है यार मुझे इतने 1 लाख की प्रोडक्ट्स चाहिए आपकी ब्रांड से. कब? On the 10th. अच्छा ऑर्डर तो आ चुका है. On the same date I mentioned him, यार अभी तो मेरे पास 1 लाख का प्रोडक्ट जो है पोर्टफोलियो वो मेरे पास नहीं है, just wait for 3 days or maybe 5 days. On the 20th of March I'm sending the goods. तो अब 20th का डेट जो मार्च का जो आ चुका है. So what I did, I have transferred the goods. अच्छा उसने क्या किया कि यार मेरे पास तो पैसे अभी नहीं है, I'm going you to pay on 5th. अच्छा हमारा काम तो हो चुका है, एज ए सेलर आई हैव डन माई जॉब, और उसका काम भी हो चुका है. अब यहाँ पर कौन फंस चुका है? अकाउंटेंट. अब अकाउंटेंट को कब रिकॉर्ड करना है ये? क्या उस डेट पे जब वो मेरे पास आ चुका है, एंड वी डू हैव अ ब्यूटीफुल डायलॉग. उस डेट पर जब उसने ऑर्डर भेजा, उस डेट पर जब हमने गुड्स को ट्रांसमिट किया, पोजीशन चेंज की, ऑनरशिप चेंज की. जब गुड्स मेरे पास थे उसकी ऑनरशिप हमने किसी भी कस्टमर को जिसने ऑर्डर डाला था उसको हमने ट्रांसमिट की. अच्छा या उस डेट को when the money has been received. So this is how where realization concept actually comes into the picture. So this principle says that revenue is recorded on the date when it has been earned. मतलब when the property, the title, the ownership has been transferred. तो ownership transmit कब हुई? जब वो मेरे पास आ चुका था on the 10th, no ownership has been transmitted. जब उसने ऑर्डर डाला तब भी ownership नहीं जा चुकी थी. On the date when we have given him the goods, that is on the 20th. ठीक, तो 20th को हमने क्या किया कि we have given him the goods. चलो आपके गुड्स तैयार है, यहाँ यार आके ले जाओ. So this is the date on which we need to record it because it's a monetary event, it's a transaction. तो अब गुड्स उसके पास जा चुके हैं. Now the title, the ownership has been transmitted. अब इसी डेट को हमने इसको रिकॉर्ड करना है. This is what realization concept is. अच्छा we don't have to focus when the money is going to be received. उस पर भी हमने फोकस नहीं करना है as an accountant. उसके बाद the last concept is accrual concept. Accrual concept. This concept simply states that revenue is recorded on the date it is earned. Revenue is recorded on the date it is earned, whether the money is received or not. चाहे हमने पैसा लिया या ना लिया, जिस दिन हमने इसको कमाया है, we will be recording that revenue on the same day, and cost will be recorded or realized on the date it has incurred, not whether the money is paid or not. Let's take an example to understand this accrual concept. क्या बोल रहा है कि revenue is recorded on the date on which it is earned. Say for example, I'm just a worker. मैं किसी के पास चला गया, I'm getting a salary of rupees 20,000. अच्छा 1 month तो हो चुका, I'm getting a salary of 20,000, लेकिन अभी सैलरी नहीं आ चुकी मेरे पास, but I will record it in the books of accounts because I have earned it, even though I have not received it. After 2 days, after 5 days, after 10 days, or after a month, I'm going to receive that. But today, जैसे ही वो month complete हो चुका है, I have recorded that in the books of accounts. Why? Because I have earned it, even though I have not received it yet. This is what accrual says. अच्छा दूसरी तरफ जहाँ पर मैं काम कर रहा था उसने भी रिकॉर्ड किया, यार उसका तो मेरे पास 20,000 है. So what accrual says? Cost is recognized on the date when it is incurred. क्योंकि 1 month तो हो चुका है, 1 महीना तो पूरा कंप्लीट हो चुका है. Now that person owes 20,000 to me. उस पर ये एक liability है. This is what accrual concept says. Cost is recorded, realized on the date it is incurred. मंथ तो हो चुका है पूरा, तो मेरा जो 20,000 है वो उसके पास है. अब वो भी रिकॉर्ड तो कर लेगा यार. अब मैं उसका 20,000 तो मेरे पास है, उसके लिए वो लाइबिलिटी है और मेरे लिए उसके पास वो एसेट है. ग्रेट. सो दिस इज what accrual concept states. Hope you got this. So this is what we have in accounting concepts, and inshallah in the next video we will be taking 4 important conventions. Please subscribe our channel. Hope you like our videos. Please do keep them sharing and support your brother Valley Boy. Thank you for watching us and supporting us.